Hello and welcome to the next edition of the BriefingsDirect Voice of the Customer podcast series. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host and moderator for this ongoing discussion on digital transformation success stories. Stay with us now to learn how agile businesses are fending off disruption in favor of innovation. Our next high-performance edge computing success story examines how a video delivery and customization capability is moving to the network edge, ever closer to the consumers to support live, multi-screen IP entertainment delivery. We'll learn how the hybrid technology and workflows for IP-delivered digital video are being re-architected, with benefits to the end-user experience as well as for new monetization values to the content providers. With that, please join me in welcoming Claudina Conan-Lostenlen. She's the Chief Marketing Officer at Imagine Communications in Frisco, Texas. Welcome to Briefings Direct.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Dana.
We're glad you're joining us. Let's start at sort of the drivers in the market. You're an organization that has media clients, customers. What are some of the pressures that they're facing as they look to the new world of multi-screen video and media?
Well, the number one concern that this industry has is the fragmentation of their audience. We live in a model supported by advertising primarily and subscriptions that rely on linear programming, people watching TV at home. And guess what? Now they're watching it on the go, on the telephone, on their iPads, on the laptop, anywhere. So they have to find a way to capture that audience, justify the value of that audience to their advertisers, deliver video content that is relevant to them, and that means several types of videos at the time that the people will want to actually consume it. So it brings a whole range of technology and business challenges that our media and entertainment customers have to overcome. But it also creates opportunities. So, for example, they can now try new content. That means they can try new programs, new channels, and they don't have to keep them forever if they don't work. So it creates opportunity to be more creative, focus on what they're good at, which is creating valuable content. And at the same time, they have to make sure that they cater to all these different audiences that are either static or on the go.
Now, the media industry is facing so much change over the past 20 years, but this is yet another major, perhaps once-in-a-generation level of change when you go to fully digital, internet protocol-delivered content. As you say, the audience is pulling them to these multi-screen, but there's also the ability now with the technology on the back end to have much more of a relationship with the customer, a one-to-one relationship rather than one-to-many, and even customization. Tell us a little bit about some of the drivers on that personalization level.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another big upside of that fragmentation and the advent of IP technology from all the way from content creation to making a program and distributing it. So it really now gives access to the content creators, to the unique viewers, and really engage with them, knowing what they like, and target advertising to them potentially. The technology is there. The challenge still remains about how to justify the business model, how to value the targeted advertising. There are different opinions on this. And there's also the unknown of the willingness of several generations of viewers to accept target advertising. So that is a great topic right now and very relevant when we talk about linear advertising, dynamic ad insertion. Now we're able to really, at the very edge of the signal distribution, the video signal distribution, insert an ad that is relevant to me, because you know my preference, you know who I am, and you know what I'm watching, and you think that this ad is going to be relevant to me. So it's there, but that means also that the media and entertainment customers have to rebuild the whole infrastructure. And it's not necessarily rebuilding. They can also put add-ons. They don't have to throw away what they had, but they have to maintain a legacy infrastructure and add on top of it, the IP enabled infrastructure to let them take advantage of this technology.
This change has happened from the web now to the multiscreen. With the web, there was a model where you would use a content delivery network to take the object, the media object, and place it as close to the edge as you could. What's changed, and why doesn't that model work anymore?
Well, First, I don't know yet if I want to say that model doesn't work anymore. Let the CDN providers enhance their technology. But for sure, I mean, the volume of videos that we're consuming every day is exponentially growing, and so definitely that creates pressure on the pipe. So our role at the front end and the back end is to make sure that videos are being created in different formats with different ads and everything in the most effective way, so that it doesn't put the drain on the pipe that is supposed to distribute that video. So I think we are being pushed to innovate further on the type of workflows that we are implementing at our customer site today, to make it efficient, to not leave storage at the edge, not centrally, do transcoding just in time. These are the things that are being worked on, and it's a balance between capacity and the number of programs that you want to send to your viewers. How big is your target market? So I think the ask really there is for us in the back end to rethink the workflows in a much more efficient way. So, for example, this is what we call the digital first approach, or unified distribution. Instead of planning a linear channel that goes the traditional way and then add another infrastructure to go multi-screen on all those different platforms, and then cable and satellite and IPTV, etc. Why don't you design the whole workflow digital first and push it as further as you can towards the edge, and then there only does the user choose, okay, this is how I'm going to get my signal. And I think this is where we're going to see the efficiencies happen, and where the pressure maybe on CDNs and other distribution means, over the air, still there, will be lower.
Yeah. So it really means an intelligent edge capability, whereas we had an intelligent core up until now, and then we'll want a hybrid capability between them, more sophisticated over time. Okay, so we've really sort of put a box around this issue of a whole new generation of technology for video delivery, but tell us a little bit more about Imagine Communications. How do you go to market? How do you help your customers? I'm sure people have been watching lots of video over the years that you've had a big role in, but they've never heard of you. Tell us more about your company.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, 2 months ago, we were here in Vegas and had our biggest trade show that we have every year. It's called the NAB. And every year we have now a series of conferences that we do on our own stage, because we want to educate our customers. And that's part of, to answer your earlier question, is that's what they need. Our customers first want to understand what it takes to move to IP. So the how. Okay, so I understand I need to move to IP to take advantage of the benefits that it brings to me, but how do I do this while I'm still navigating the traditional world? And then not only the how is, okay, so can you share examples with us? So we had, for example, a panel on OTT explaining what it takes to create a successful multi-screen service.
And OTT means over-the-top technology, which is another way of saying IP delivered.
IP delivery on multiple screen, exactly right. So in fact, yeah, that part of the panel was to explain what is OTT, by the way. So there's a lot of education. There's also another level of education that we have to provide, which is, in this traditional world of SDI and sort of the broadcast industry.
And that's serial distributed interface. What's SDI?
It's serial digital interface. So it's basically saying an analog video signals can be moved into digital, and then now it's not only a digitally chopped signal, now it's an IP stream. So the whole knowledge about how to handle IP is also new to our own industry, our own engineers, our own customers, right? So we also have to educate what it takes to do this. And one of the key things in the media and entertainment industry is, and that's why for a long time there was a little bit of, fear about IP, because no one really believed IP could handle live signals. And you know how important live television is in this industry. Sports, news, this is where the money comes from, right? So Super Bowl, biggest ads, most expensive ads at half game. So it's important. So being able to do live with IP is critical. So that's why we're sharing with our customers real life implementation that we're doing today. We're also pushing standards and multiple standards to come together, interrupt. We work with our competitors. we set up a trade association to actually accelerate the standards work. So we do all of that, and as we do this, obviously it forces us to innovate, but also do this in partnership with customers, sort of bring them on board. They are part of that trade association, they are part of the trial, and they're gladly sharing their experience with others so that the transition can be accelerated.
And so just to be clear, Imagine Communications is a technology and solutions provider to the media content companies, and you provide the means to do this, but also it seems to me you're doing a lot with ad insertion, correct, billing, understanding more about the end user and allowing that data flow from the edge back to the core, back to the edge to happen. So just want to be sure I understood how your company fits into the big picture.
Yes, absolutely. So we do everything that happens behind the camera, from content creation all the way to making a program and distributing it, and to your point, monetizing with that management system. So we have a long history of powering all the key customers in the world for their advertising system. So it's basically an automated system that allows to sell advertising spots and build them. And this is the engine of where our customers make money, right? So we are at the heart of this. So indeed, we are in a prime position to help them take advantage of the new advertising solutions that exist today, which is dynamic ad insertion. In other words, how you target ads to the single viewer. And the challenge for them is now, okay, I have a campaign. How do I design a campaign that cater both the linear traditional advertising system as well as the multiscreen or web mobile application? And so that's what we're working on. We have a whole set of next generation platforms that allow them to really take advantage of both in a more effective manner.
And Gladini, as you mentioned, the technology is there. You're a solutions provider. You need to find the best ways of storing and crunching data close to the edge, optimizing networks. Tell us why you choose certain partners and what are some of the major concerns you have when you go to the technology marketplace.
Well, one fundamental driver here is, as we drive the transition to IP in this industry, is you rely on COTS platform. But all COTS platforms are not born equal.
And
right?
That means off-the-shelf standard technology.
That's right. So for compute, for storage, for networking, you need to rely on top-scale hardware platforms. And that's why about 2 years ago, we started to work very closely with HPE for both our compute and server technology. So basically, we develop the software appliances that run on those platforms, and we sell this as a package with HPE inside, if you will. So it's been a key value proposition of ours as we started this journey to move to IP, to say, by the way, our solutions run on HPE hardware. And that's very important because having high performance compute that scales is critical to the broadcast and media industry. Having storage that is highly reliable is fundamental because there's no off-air going on here. So it's 99 and I think it's 6 nines that we want, right? So it's a fundamental piece of our message to our customers, is to say, you come with Imagine solutions, but it's powered by one of the top compute and storage technology.
And another part of the change in the marketplace is this move to the edge. So it's auspicious that just as you need to have more storage and compute efficiency at the edge of the network close to the consumer, the infrastructure providers are also designing new hardware and solutions to do that. That's also for the quote-unquote Internet of Things. There are other drivers, so it's a more standard approach. What is it about Edgeline, the architecture that HPE is using, that makes that edge more powerful? How do you view this architectural shift from core data center to cloud and now to the edge as a big deal for your organization? Well,
it's a big deal because we are going to be in a very hybrid world. Okay, so most of our customers first, for the first time they hear about cloud. And so we got to explain to them, you're going to have your private cloud, you can run virtualized application on premise, so forget the cloud for a moment, or you're going to take advantage of public cloud. And so being able to have a hybrid model of deployment for their applications is critical. Especially we have large customers who have operations in several places in the globe, right? I take big names such as Disney, Turner, and they have operations everywhere. And so for them, being able to optimize at the edge means that you've got to create an architecture that is geographically distributed, but is efficient there where they have the operations. So this type of technology really helps us delivering more value to these key customers.
And the other part of that edge technology is it has the ability to be adaptive and customized. Each region has its own networks, its own regulation, its own compliance, security, and privacy issues. And when you can be programmatic as to how you design your edge infrastructure, that a custom applications orientation becomes possible. Is there something about the edge architecture that you'd like to see more of? Where do you see this going in terms of the capabilities of customization added on services?
Okay, so one of the typical use case that we see for those big customers who have distributed operations is they like to try and run their disaster recovery site in a more cost-effective manner. So the flexibility that an edge architecture provides to them is that they don't have to rely on central operations running disaster recovery for everybody. They can do it on their own, but they can do it cost-effectively. They don't have to recreate the whole infrastructure, and so they do it at the edge as well. So we see a lot of, especially in the area of program making, so what we call play out before it's being distributed, but how you create a TV channel, if you will. It's important to have back-to-back, redundancy, and disaster recovery is a key driver for this type of application.
Okay, Claudina, we've done a great job, I think, of explaining how the market is developing, some of the technology shifts, why that's supporting you at Imagine Communications. But I also like to show, are there some examples of some of your clients that are on more of the cutting edge, that have adopted some of these solutions, and what are the outcomes? What are they able to do with it? Maybe you can name them, maybe you can't.
Well, it's always sensitive to name those big brand names. They're very protective of their brands. So, however, we have one of the key brand names, the top ones, I would say, in the world of media and entertainment, has actually decided to move all their operations from content creation, playout distribution, to their own cloud, to their own data centers. So they're at the forefront of playing live and recorded material on TV, all from the cloud. So they need strong partners in data centers, right? So obviously we work with them closely, and the reason why they do this is simply to really take advantage of the flexibility. They don't want to be tied to how many channels they use to produce. They want to try new things. They want to try pop-up channels. They want to try, okay, for the Oscars, it's one night, right? Why are you going to recreate a whole infrastructure if you can just check it on and off, if you will, out of a data center capacity? So that's the key application there, pop-up channels and really trying new programs. I mentioned disaster recovery.
If I could just pause you there, it almost sounds like they are thinking of themselves as an IT company rather than a company that consumes IT. Is that shift happening?
Oh, yes, that's an interesting topic, because I think you cannot really successfully do this if you don't start to think IT a little bit. And what we're seeing, very interestingly, is that our customers typically would have the IT department on one side, the broadcast engineers on the other side, and these were two groups that didn't speak the same language, right? Now they get together, and they have to, because they have to design together the solution that will make them more successful. And so we're seeing this happening. So I wouldn't say yet that they are IT companies. They can't, their core strength is content, is their brand. That's what they're good at, creating amazing content and make it available to as many people as possible. So they have to understand it, but they can't substitute themselves. So I think the IT providers still have a strong play there. And that's how it goes, by the way. It's always happening that way. We also have, I mentioned disaster recovery as a key application. Multiscreen delivery definitely is taking advantage of that technology for sure.
So when these companies make this cultural shift to being so much more technically oriented, when they think about a standard process across all of what they do, and they have their own core data center that's dynamic and flexible and agile and cost efficient, what does that get for them? Is it too soon, or do we have some metrics of success for companies that make this move towards a fully digital, IP-focused organization?
So, again, as protective as they are about the naming their names, they're very protective about the math. I think it's fair to say, though, let's be real, and it's fair to say that at the front, usually the investment might be higher. But when you do the math over time, you do total cost of ownership to the next 5-10 years, because that's typically the life cycle of these infrastructures. Definitely, not only do they save money, because on the OpEx side, it's much more efficient, but also they have upside on additional revenue. So net, the ROI is much better. But it's kind of hard to say now because we're still in the early days. But it's bound to be a much greater ROI. Another specific example, so I mentioned disaster recovery. In the Middle East, we have a customer who decided to operate the disaster recovery in IP in the cloud instead of having a replicated system with satellite links in between. They were able to save $2 million worth of satellite links. That and investment, trust me, was not that high. So it shows that it's there. And now I would say my satellite, customers would say, well, what are you trying to do? Good news is they're looking at us to help them transform their business. So, big satellite providers are thinking broadly about, okay, this world of IP is changing the game here. So what do we need to do different? So I think it's going to create even more opportunities to reduce those costs for our customers.
Sure, that's one of the intrinsic values of a hybrid IT approach, is you can use many different ways to do something, and then you can optimize which of those methods at what time, at what cost, and then vary and oscillate between them. That's a very powerful concept.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think that's going to be the world we'll be in, is the hybrid IT technology world. We'll take advantage of that. But, of course, with that will come some challenges. And if I can just allude to what I think is next, and that is really getting, the number one question. 3 years ago, customers would ask us, hey, IP is not going to work for live. We convinced them otherwise. Now they know it's working. It's happening for real. Perfect. And now they're like, okay, now I get it. So how do I do this? Okay, we showed them this is how you do it, sort of the education piece. Now, this year, what become number one question is security. Okay, this is my content, the most valuable asset I have in my company. I'm not putting this in the cloud. And there, this is where another piece of education has to start, which is actually, as you put stuff on the cloud, it's more secure. And we're working with our technology providers. And again, as I said earlier, the COTS providers are not equal. We take it seriously. The cyber attacks on content and media is critical, and it's bound to happen more often, right? Initially, there was a bit of a lack of understanding of you need to separate your corporate network, like for emails and things, from your broadcast operations network. Okay, that's easy to explain, and that can be implemented. And that's where most of the attacks over the last 5 years have happened. Very stupid things, I would say, right? This is solved. However, the cyber attackers are becoming more clever, right? So that they will overcome that. So they're going to get it right into the servers, right into storage, and try to mess with it over there. So I think it's super important to be able to say, not only at the software level, but at the hardware firmware level, we are adding protection against your number one issue, and which everybody can see is so important.
Sure, the next domino to fall after you've got the concept, the implementation, the execution, even the optimization, is to then remove risk, whether it's disaster recovery, security, right down to the silicon, and so forth. So that's the next thing we'll look for, and I hope I can get a chance to talk to you about how you're all lowering risk for your clients the next time we speak. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. Please join me in thanking our guest. We've been joined by Glodina Conan Lost-Anlin. She's the Chief Marketing Officer at Imagine Communications in Frisco, Texas. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
We've been examining how Imagine Communications is re-architecting edge and hybrid computing and the workflows to enable IP delivery of digital video worldwide. And we've heard how advances in edge computing storage, server, and data center improvements from HPE are enabling such live multi-screen IP entertainment delivery models, which significantly benefit consumers and providers alike. And so thanks as well to our audience for joining us for this BriefingsDirect Voice of the Customer Digital Transformation Success Story discussion. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host for this ongoing series of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise-sponsored interviews. Thanks again for listening. Please pass this along to your IT community, and do come back next time.